Welcome to a journey into the world of Generation Z, the latest generation to come of age in America. Born between 1997 and 2012, Generation Z is the newest cohort of young Americans. The first generation to have grown up fully immersed in the age of the internet, technology, and social media. This has shaped their behaviors, their worldviews, and their perspectives in ways that are distinctively different from those of older generations. Their formative years have been marked by significant events such as the Great Recession, an era of political polarization, and the global pandemic of COVID-19. These events have exerted unique economic and social pressures on Gen Z, pushing them to grapple with issues that their predecessors didn't have to face at the same age. These forces have also contributed to Gen Z developing more progressive views. They are vocal, active, and passionate about causes related to justice, equality, and environmentalism. Now let's take a moment to consider the scale of their influence. Generation Z represents over 20% of the US population. That's more than 1 in 5 people. And as they grow older, their influence is only set to increase. Their tastes, their values, their habits, these are the things that are redefining what we consider mainstream culture. And it's not just about what they like or dislike. It's about how they conduct business, how they create content, how they interact with the world around them. As Generation Z continues to gain more spending power and societal influence, understanding their impact becomes key for anyone looking to align with the contemporary American youth culture. From brands and marketers to educators and policymakers, Gen Z's influence is far-reaching. As Gen Z gains more influence, their impact on American culture becomes more apparent and profound. We're just at the beginning of understanding the full extent of this impact, and it's an exciting journey we're on. So stay tuned as we delve deeper into the world of Generation Z in our upcoming segments. Gen Z's commitment to progressive causes is a defining characteristic of this generation. As advocates for change, they are leading the way in areas such as social justice, climate change, and diversity. Let's start with social justice. Generation Z has been at the forefront of movements like Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ+ rights, and women's equality. They're not just passively supporting these causes, they're actively involved, organizing protests, sharing information online, and holding conversations that challenge societal norms. They're a generation that wants to see change, and they're not afraid to demand it. Next, let's talk about climate change. This is a generation that has grown up witnessing the effects of global warming and environmental degradation. They're very concerned about the state of the planet, and they're taking action. They support regulations and green initiatives, and they're pushing for more sustainable practices in every aspect of life, from the food they eat to the clothes they wear. And finally, diversity and inclusion. Gen Z values representation across race, gender, sexuality, ability, and identity. They want to see this diversity reflected in the media they consume, the politicians they elect, and the companies they support. This focus on diversity and inclusion is pushing industries to become more representative and inclusive. But it's not just about advocating for change. Gen Z also expects the brands they support to align with their values. They want to see companies taking a stand on social issues, and they're willing to reward those that do with their loyalty and their spending power. Gen Z's emphasis on progressive causes is reshaping what's considered mainstream in American culture. They're not just consumers, they're influencers, activists, and leaders. And as they continue to grow and gain influence, we can expect to see even more changes in the cultural landscape. This is a generation that's not just living in the world, they're actively working to change it. Gen Z's willingness to question established norms is another factor driving their influence on culture. This generation, more than any before it, is comfortable challenging traditional life paths and societal constructs. They're reimagining what success looks like, and it's not necessarily the white picket fence, 9-to-5 job, or the corner office that previous generations aspired to. Gen Z is redefining the American dream on their own terms. They are less motivated by materialism and status symbols. Instead, They value unique experiences, personal growth, and genuine connection. They are the generation that would rather travel to a new country, attend a music festival, or learn a new skill than spend their money on a luxury car or designer handbag. They believe in creating memories, not accumulating possessions. They're not just questioning societal norms, but also the very systems and institutions that uphold these norms. Gen Z is disillusioned by what they see as broken systems, from education to healthcare to politics. They've grown up in an era of economic instability, witnessed the effects of climate change, and experienced firsthand the shortcomings of various institutions. This has led them to question the efficacy and fairness of these systems. But they're not just questioning, they're acting. They're advocating for change, pushing for reforms, and using their digital native skills to amplify their voices. They're unafraid to challenge authority, and they're not interested in making small incremental changes. They want radical transformative shifts in how we live and operate. They see the world differently, and they're not afraid to voice their opinions and fight for what they believe in. Their comfort in questioning the status quo is reshaping our society and culture in significant ways. By questioning the status quo, Gen Z is pushing for radical change, not just incremental adjustments. Their drive for authenticity, equality, and sustainability is setting a new paradigm for what's valued in our society. They're not just rewriting the rules of American culture, they're crafting a new narrative for the future. Gen Z isn't just questioning the status quo, they're forging new paths. This isn't about rebellion for rebellion's sake, it's about finding new ways to express themselves, to create, to engage with the world around them. It's about being architects of their own destinies, using their influence to reshape the landscapes of media, entertainment, fashion, and culture itself. They're not just passive consumers, but savvy co-creators. They're leveraging the power of social media and digital technology to create and share content that is authentic, raw, and impactful. They're the YouTubers, the influencers, the bloggers, the podcasters, the digital artists, reshaping the face of entertainment and media. But it's not just about creating, it's about consuming too. Their consumption patterns are issue-driven, tied to their values and beliefs. They reward brands that align with their principles and abandon those that don't. They care about the environment, social justice, equality. They're not just buying products, they're buying into values, into stories, into causes. And while they value success, they define it on their own terms. They're not chasing after status symbols or prestige. Instead, they're seeking personal fulfillment and self-actualization. They're not just looking for a job that pays the bills. They're looking for a purpose, a mission, a way to make a difference. They're redefining success, and in doing so, they're challenging the rest of us to do the same. They're breaking away from traditional paths, carving out their own. They're not afraid to take the road less traveled, to go against the grain, to make their own rules. They're not waiting for permission. They're not waiting for an invitation. They're just going for it. Gen Z's drive to forge new paths is not just reshaping American culture, it's redefining it. They're showing us that there's more than one way to live a life, more than one way to make a difference, more than one way to define success. And in doing so, they're inviting us all to reconsider our own paths, our own definitions, our own possibilities. In conclusion, Gen Z's influence on American culture is both broad and individual. Today, we've explored how this generation, born between 1997 and 2012, is changing the societal landscape in unprecedented ways. As we've seen, their progressive values, questioning of the status quo, and drive to forge new paths are reshaping American culture. Gen Z is embracing progressive causes with a fervor that surpasses previous generations. From advocating for social justice issues like Black Lives Matter, LGBTQ+ rights, and women's equality, to pushing for climate change and sustainability measures, they're not afraid to take a stand. They're expecting the same from brands too, favoring those that align with their values and are willing to make a difference. Not content with following the established norms, Gen Z is questioning the status quo. They're comfortable challenging traditional life paths, career norms, and social constructs. Materialism and status symbols don't hold the same appeal for them as they did for previous generations. Instead, they value unique experiences and are driven by a desire for authentic social progress. Gen Z is also forging new paths, remodeling industries like media, entertainment, and fashion. They're savvy co-creators and issue-driven consumers who reward or abandon brands based on their alignment with their values. For them, personal fulfillment and self-actualization hold more weight than status or prestige alone. In essence, Gen Z is motivated by a desire for authentic social progress, not settling for the status quo, and crafting identities and communities that reflect their diverse ideals. This is what's driving their reshaping of American culture on both broad and individual levels. As we continue to see their influence unfold, one thing is clear: Gen Z is not just participating in American culture, they're rewriting the rules. As they mature and gain more influence, we can expect to see even more changes in the way we live, work, and interact. So let's buckle up and enjoy the ride, because the Gen Z revolution is just getting started.